What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with another video. Our Riddle has sworn to confront undisputed champion Roman Reigns last night on SmackDown, so will he get his wish, and if so, will he regret it? Join us now as we look at this week's edition of the Blue Brand, as well as the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including Paige is leaving WWE, and the real reason why. Is she off to AEW? Cody out until 2023, a superstar is injured, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out Wrestlelamia.co.uk and our non-wrestling channel, Incredible. Now, as always, we won't recap the matches, but just look at the good, the bad, and the downright ugly. As always, we start off with the good as number 1, a classic slobber knocker. Drew McIntyre vs Sheamus, a match that fans have seen many times before, but for some reason never gets old. Last night's Clash of the Titans was a smash-mouth display of two of the WWE's best brawlers, and neither wrestler disappointed, battling each other from pillar to post until the referee finally had to disqualify both superstars after they both began using steel chairs. Drew vs Sheamus is one of those in case of emergency break glass matches that can be used whenever the WWE needs something strong. Number 2, Lacey qualifies for Money in the Bank. Now, is Lacey Evans going to win the women's Money in the Bank ladder match? Well, that remains to be seen, but it's good to see Evans in the bout, as it's a sign the WWE plans to give her a push. This won't be Evans' first chance at the briefcase, but it could be her first win and the beginning of the road for a world title run. Number 3, a magical main event. A Sami Zayn vs Riddle was a fantastic match with an interesting storyline driving it. Zayn's ridiculous request to join the Bloodline faced its last obstacle, as he believed defeating Riddle would not only ban Riddle from appearing on SmackDown, but Sami getting into the Bloodline as an official member. Instead, though, Riddle defeated Zayn in an exciting match, with the Ultimate Bros win earning him a title shot against undisputed champion Roman Reigns next week. The fallout for Zayn will be fascinating, especially when Reigns confronts him about the loss. There's also a certain amount of curiosity as to whether Reigns will actually defend the title, and if he does, why he's doing so on television instead of Money in the Bank. Number 4, Gunther looks dominant. Gunther winning the IC Championship was the next step in the big man's growth on SmackDown. Gunther looked dominant against Ricochet, but he didn't squash him. Ricochet held his own as best he could, but ultimately he lost cleanly to Gunther, which suggests Gunther could be champion for a very long time. And Shotzi vs Ronda. It's worth noting that the WWE has the right idea for how to use Ronda Rousey as something more than someone who shows up for special matches. Rousey is a proven commodity, and the WWE is using her for more than adding star power to SmackDown's depleted ranks. It's using her to help get younger talent over. But Rousey isn't putting them over by counting the lights, instead she's defeating the talent but making them look good in defeat and giving them a chance to perform in front of the fans. Ronda's already done this with Raquel Gonzalez, and last night she did the same for Shotzi. The match also sets things up for when Natalya challenges Rousey for the SmackDown Women's Championship due to WWE stating Natalya's post-match run-in attack on Rousey injured the champion. But that was the good. What about the bad? Is number 1, Corbin vs Madcap Madness. Now please stop the insanity. Somehow the WWE feels that the Happy Corbin vs Madcap feud has some life left in it. Apparently Madcap dropping steel steps onto Corbin's head, which also has a steel chair wrapped around it, wasn't the finish the WWE had in mind, so it's announced a last laugh match for next Friday. We don't want to know, and we don't really want to watch it. This program should have ended weeks ago. Now, there was nothing downright ugly, as last night's SmackDown showed the WWE is committed to building up the blue brand without Roman Reigns. While Reigns is still the show's star attraction, they finally seem to understand that the fans need to invest their time in other storylines besides the tribal chief. But what did you guys think of SmackDown last night? Let us know in the comments down below. Now let's move on to the news. Our first story looks at Paige announcing she's leaving WWE. A WWE superstar Paige has announced that she's leaving the WWE, but what's the real reason motivating her departure? She surprised the wrestling world last night when she tweeted that 7th July will be her last day in WWE. She thanked the fans for their support and the WWE for keeping her around long after her neck injury ended her in-ring career. But she also left the door open for a wrestling return with this teaser. FYI, I'm not saying I'll never be in the ring, that day will most certainly come again, whenever the return may be. Now, although Paige retired in 2018, she teased returning to the ring numerous times, informing fans that she was training for a comeback. But what's the real reason she left? Now, the first reason is that Paige's contract ends on 7th July, which gives her the option to leave. It's kind of unknown whether the WWE asked her to renew her current deal, but the second and perhaps most important is that she wasn't doing much of anything in the WWE as far as TV appearances go. Paige is on the WWE's no contact list, which means she can't be touched, let alone take any bumps. Her last television role was as a member of FS1's WWE Backstage show, which was cancelled in January 2021. And lastly, Paige has repeatedly talked about mounting an in-ring comeback, something that seemed unlikely in the WWE in light of her neck injuries and surgeries. Paige may feel that another promotion is more likely to clear her to wrestle. The question is whether a promotion wants to deal with the bad press that would certainly arise if Paige was injured or worse in the ring. Next up, is she off to AEW? Now, in light of Paige's popularity and AEW President Tony Khan's penchant for signing ex-WWE talent, it seems likely. However, would Paige wrestle? Well, that's a question that sparked discussion, and rightly so. Social media is already ablaze with fans arguing for Paige to return to the ring and other fans saying she shouldn't risk her health by wrestling again. Unfortunately, if she does head to AEW, it wouldn't be a shock to see her wrestle. After all, if Tony Khan can book Jeff Hardy in a ladder match just weeks after he had his block knocked off, what's to keep him from booking Paige in a match? Factor in Paige's reoccurring comments on social media and that she's training for a comeback, and an in-ring return shouldn't be ruled out. Now, she doesn't have to wrestle in AEW and could work as a manager, TV personality, or an announcer. Paige has a variety of options including wrestling, gaming, Hollywood, or something she hasn't pursued yet. Whatever the case, we can't wait to see what's next for the inaugural NXT Women's Champion. But what do you guys think is next for Paige? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, Cody Out Until 2023. Bad news for Cody Rhodes and his many fans in the WWE Universe, as a current doctor's prognosis has him out of action for anywhere ranging from 6 to 9 months. The WWE tweeted, "Update after successful surgery, Cody Rhodes will be out of action for 9 months. However, as Wrestling News noted, typically a torn pec takes somewhere around 6 months to recover from. Cody's return timetable could be legitimate, but don't discount the possibility that they've added months to his timetable so he can make a surprise return at the Royal Rumble." Next up, Xia Li Injured. The WWE could have another injury on its hands, as Wrestling News' Andrew Ravens is reporting that Xia Li may be injured during a match. A fan in attendance uploaded a video to YouTube showing referee Charles Robinson and the medical staff are checking on Li, who is still on the mat in the ring. During the time they were still in the ring, you can see Robinson reaching back to his radio to talk to WWE officials. Hopefully we'll know more very soon. And finally, the real reason why Stephanie left WWE. Now, there's a wild rumour regarding Stephanie McMahon's sabbatical from the WWE, and there seems to be two schools of thoughts for her exit. The first is that McMahon left the WWE for the very reason she stated, to spend more time with her family. The second is that Stephanie left for a different reason and that the family time rationale was a cover. While there's little evidence to go on, the recent Business Insider story which buried Stephanie as someone who wasn't working up to the WWE's expectations has thrown gasoline onto the fire in terms of whether Stephanie was forced out. We had plenty of rumours but nothing substantial, but one story making the rounds is that Stephanie may have been allegedly asked to step down because of a lawsuit. Meltzer had this to say in the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter. While we don't have an answer for any of this, and within WWE this was heavily denied and again noted it was her decision, she was not forced out, inside of wrestling more and more people bringing up the MLW lawsuit since she was directly named as a person who made the call to Fox, which MLW claimed led to an agreed upon deal with Tubi being cancelled. Now, you may recall that Major League Wrestling is suing the WWE, alleging the company had pressured third parties to abandon contracts and prospective relationships with MLW, including a major streaming deal. It was also alleged that in early 2021, the then WWE executive warned Vice TV that WWE chairman and CEO Vince McMahon was pissed that Vice was airing MLW programming and that Vice should be stopped working with the promotion. Now, expect to hear more theories as to why Stephanie really left the WWE. Like most speculation, it will come down to whether there is any hard evidence to support these observations. Well, there you have it, folks. Our look at this week's edition of SmackDown and the wildest news stories and rumours you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below, and I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.